I'm Eben Britton.
And I'm Nate Jackson.
And this is The Mindful Warrior.
I've been telling people for years, they've been saying for decades that, up to 90% of your immune system lies within the microflora in your gut. Now there are studies coming out that there is an axis between your gut health, your inner ecology, the health and well-being of your digestive system, and the chemicals in your brain. They're starting to isolate these compounds or these bacteria or pathogens that are causing or helping to create a better inner biome. Those studies are blowing my mind.
The wolf is back, baby.
Welcome back, Wolf. And welcome, Mindful Warriors. My name is Nathan Jackson. With me, as always, is Eben Britton and Gerard Bauer. And, of course, Gandalf the Grey, serving as a footrest to our guest today. Eb, how you doing?
I'm doing great, brother. How are you?
Real good, man. Beautiful day in
God,
LA.
it's a beautiful day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited about our guest as well.
I am too. Our first guest who's ever come bearing gifts.
Yeah.
Pretty special.
Mama raised her right,
Oh, man.
Actually, Seth Smith brought weed.
That's right.
I want to be fair to Seth.
I didn't want to be too obvious in my choices, guys.
You brought some
they
books.
were thoughtful.
They are very
and
thoughtful.
handpicked.
It was really a beautiful gift. Thank you so much. From our guest, the very beautiful, very talented chef, Melissa Delia.
Delia.
Delia. Excuse me.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Melissa.
Hey, Melissa. So great to have you.
So good to be here.
So just to start, we met, how long ago was it? About over a year ago when we met at Bon Appetit.
I think filming for that was April, so
Yeah.
it's been a full year.
April 2017.
Were you the cook on that show?
I
She
was.
Oh, cool.
She prepared this incredible meal for us. It was like a Sunday game day meal. Had some incredible wings, some incredible sweet potato
Skins, right. Sweet potato skins.
that were just incredible, all infused with cannabis. And it was myself, Eugene Monroe, and Todd Harrimans, all there talking shop, talking football and cannabis.
Shout outs to our buddies Eugene and Todd.
Yeah,
Love
shout
those
outs
dudes.
to those guys. And it was really awesome. And we really, from there, started building this relationship, following each other on social media.
Totally.
And, it's great to have you here. There's so much that we're going to dive into here. You're in LA.
I am.
You're an East Coast gal.
I'm an East Coast gal.
Represent. I was born in New York City myself.
Nice.
Mindful Warriors, if you didn't know that already.
What part of the East Coast are you from?
I was born in Key West, Florida.
Oh, cool.
And then I was raised in Toms River, New Jersey. I hail from the great state of New Jersey.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Where do you live now?
I live right at the shore in Island Heights, New Jersey, which
Awesome.
is
I love
a
that.
small little shore town. It's historical. All the houses are like old historical circuit homes.
Well, you
nice.
you fit in here in LA good. I think you have sort of a California vibe
You
to
do.
you.
know,
You
I
do have a
know.
Cali vibe.
This is a conversation that keeps coming up, guys.
Wow.
Everyone I'm with.
So
they're
when
like,
are you moving
"It's
out?
time."
When are you coming out?
Well, I'm a mom. I'm a
Okay.
mom of a almost 14-year-old son.
Wow.
And Riley is starting high school, grade 9,
Oh, my
in
God.
September. And, I think there's going to be a transition for
when
sure.
he goes away to college or when he's
For sure.
done with high school?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. So we'll
Nice.
see. I'm already going back and forth all the time for work and
Yeah.
Yeah.
the Viceland / Bon Appetit connection. And now there's some other stuff going on. So
Cool.
Very
Yeah.
cool.
So what are you doing here in LA this time?
this time,
Aside from being on the Mindful Warrior.
obviously,
Yeah.
this is why I flew out. I was invited to be on All Things Considered on NPR. A good friend of mine does and KCRW is an NPR affiliate
Yeah.
in Santa Monica College. So a friend of mine wanted to do a piece about foods that harm and foods that heal, and talk about. I'm a geek about biochemistry and eating right for your body.
You're a personal chef to pro athletes.
I am a personal chef to professional athletes, among other people. I don't discriminate.
Yeah.
Well, I imagine there's a little bit of a different approach, right, when it comes
Right.
to an
Absolutely.
athlete versus an quote-unquote average person.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he wanted to, talk to me about all types of foods that are healing and infused with cannabis. So I asked my friend Jason Pinsky, who hails from Viceland and is the chief cannabis evangelist at Ease.
Yeah. He's
Which is
a cannabis guy.
Which is a perfect
Title.
moniker or title for him. So we went out there yesterday, spent the day talking to Larry Perrell about cannabis food, and nothing we made was psychoactive. It was all CBD and some other stuff. So it was a really nice day. I feel really, really fucking blessed
That's awesome.
to be asked to share any of this knowledge.
Well, let's dive into that. That's something that we're really interested in here. Foods that harm and foods that heal.
Yeah.
Where do we start?
Well, so I went to a culinary school called the Natural Gourmet Institute for Food and Health in Manhattan. And they focus on, that's the main focus of that school.
Wow.
And they also do Ayurveda and 5-phased eating and eating for your blood type. And you really kind of get a whole sense of macrobiotics.
What does Ayurveda
awesome.
mean exactly?
Ayurveda is basically a very old institution of teaching and way of taking care of yourself that there's different body types and there's different ways of taking care of those body types.
Okay, so that would equate to what you do with athletes versus the average Joe.
Right.
Sort of, or no?
I sort of, it's funny. After I graduated from culinary school, I bought a restaurant in Red Bank, New Jersey, which is actually about a few doors away from where Comic Book Man is, the engineer who's on his way, Ming, who helps me with my podcast. And while I owned Down to Earth, I started really delving deep into, people would all come in wanting to eat raw vegan. So, cool, we've got a raw vegan menu. There's just certain people that shouldn't be eating that way.
Right, and they're eating that way because that's what they think they should do because
Right.
it's cool?
Or not necessarily because it's cool, but people think that it might really help them. It might help heal them. I completely agree with that. However, sometimes, I don't know if you've ever known any raw vegans, and please, nobody take offense to the fact that I'm talking about this. Because
Let it out.
if you've ever known anybody who's been raw vegan for more than 5 or 6 months, they start floating into the ether
Yeah.
because they're not grounded enough.
Right.
You know?
So
Yeah,
they're
I've seen that.
Physically
Where
looking
they're-
gaunt.
Not even just your physical body. They start their mind and their
Right.
spirit starts to get so light, or I'm not really sure what happens.
Yeah.
But I saw it time and time again. And I was like, wow, that person's really whacked out. It's been like a year of them being
Yeah.
raw vegan. And wow, it
Yeah.
really, really changed the way they are in the world.
Yeah.
So then that kind of morphed into all types of stuff, and kind of after I sold the restaurant, I went to nursing school. I had a small child at the time, thought I should get a real job, quote unquote. Nursing was not for me. I can't
Clean up poop.
I can't. I don't like cleaning up poop. That sucks.
Or putting catheters in old man's wieners.
Yeah, catheters and old man's wieners are not fun. It's more like I can't be part of an establishment that I don't agree with.
Right.
And the whole point was that all I wanted to do was help people.
Yeah.
And that is not fucking helping people.
That's so ironic
It's-
too. That's the institution that's supposed to
Right.
be, and it's
Right.
not.
Yeah.
And it takes people going through it and then branching out
I know.
to actually change it.
And we could talk about the facets of why the medical establishment is fucked for probably the
that's
whole
a
pod.
whole pod.
But so I left that because it just wasn't for me. And I started working as a chef again. And if it wasn't for Down to Earth, if it wasn't for my old restaurant, I had an old person an old client or customer who used to come in who called me out of the blue, heard I was chefing again, and said, "Hey, I don't know if you know this, but I don't think we've ever talked about it, but I'm a sports agent, and come do this thing. So-and-so got hurt. We need a team of people. I know that you have a background in this and that. You're the perfect fit." And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's like what I want to be doing. Like, no. And that's not the kind of people I want to help. And then
Based on had you met athletes
I-
before, or just kind of
I'm not a huge fan of sports,
right?
which I think is part of, from what I've been told, like part of the like allure or something, because I just don't give a fuck.
Yeah,
Right.
Like I appreciate the sports. I appreciate the people playing the sports and how they're clean running machines.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the establishment of it, again,
Turn off.
total turn off. As a female, that toxic, all I saw was just like these red flags of toxic masculine shit.
What would you say
Yeah,
toxic
we're
masculinity
interested.
is? Can you define it?
Oof.
I know we're veering off here, but let's just veer.
Right.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity is like, so we're all part of this culture we live in, right?
Yeah.
Western society. And Western society is unfortunately a patriarchal culture.
Yeah.
And, gender roles and stereotypes have been enforced for quite some time now. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking like dawn of fucking time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in Western society, we're fed that, boys don't cry,
Yeah.
girls are in tutus,
Princesses.
and you see it from the moment they're born. The little boy gets the cigar smoking dad, and in the delivery room, and the little girl gets a little pink bow on her head, and it's like right straight off the dick. These kids are like forced this toxic roles of, and they're
These costumes.
like already formed
Yeah.
roles of what they should be or should aspire to be or should, and that stuff inhabits them and lives inside of them. And I viewed, now circling back,
Nice.
I viewed sports
As the embodiment of that.
as the embodiment of that.
Right. And in many ways, you're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And I never once met someone who played sports, or I was a cheerleader when I was younger. I never felt that way when I was younger. It was as an adult that I started being like, ew, gross. Like watching guys watch football is very weird for somebody who's not into sports or from a family that's into sports. It's
Yeah.
like a very like beat your chest caveman thing.
Especially for
That I didn't
individuals
get.
who have actually nothing physically at stake in what they're watching. It's all just kind of a symbolism.
Yeah.
And, and then we can, which I would like to talk to you guys at some other point, maybe on my pod, about what that toxic masculinity and how that inhabits you guys while you're playing the actual game.
Yeah.
Because once, to bring it back, to get back to the humanity of it, which is once I started helping him and I saw him have a great season and felt that appreciation and knew that I was really adding something. And then it sort of blossomed out of that. I got different clients, different sports, started traveling.
Wow.
People started calling me for like consultations over the phone. And it wasn't anything I was advertising to do. I was just doing small events and working at a restaurant on the beach.
It was just word of mouth because you were doing good work.
And then it just snowballed. And then I got invited to be on Bon Appetit. And then now this whole last year has been just a whirlwind of stuff. And I feel so blessed to be able to, take the money, take the resources, and be able to pay that forward to people that don't have those resources.
That's cool.
How long ago was that where that first pro athlete client came in?
I think it's been 4 years.
Oh, wow.
It may be going into the 5th preseason, but I think it's 4.
Now, all of your background and your education around food and foods that harm and foods that heal, it's a different menu for each person, each individual?
So that's another thing that I wanted to discuss, and we kind of derailed a little bit. So when I owned the restaurant, I saw that, there's so much dogma attached to food choices.
Yeah.
I'm paleo and that's it. Or
Right.
I'm raw foodist and that's it. And then projecting that onto others that it's some panacea for whatever your ailments are.
Yeah.
And how I work, and this is going to sound crazy, I work mostly, obviously, I sit with a client. We talk about whatever it is that, looking 2 years ahead, what they'd like to accomplish, what they need to accomplish now, certain ailments, all types of, medical related stuff. And then I intuitively, using the tools I have, the science and the biochemistry and all of the stuff that I've learned doing this for so long, I then intuitively feel like
You know what to cook for.
I do.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And that's what I do. And people ask all the time, they're like, you should do a master class or something on how to cook for professional athletes. And I'm like, I could give bulleted notes of maybe guidelines or, subjects that they should get interested in and educate themselves about. But it really, at the end of the day, it really is,
It's a feel.
It is.
It's intuition.
And using the tools I've acquired through that filter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. I love that eye tattoo on your hand. That's sick, Melissa.
Thanks, guys.
She's got an eye tattoo on the palm of her right hand.
How about this? Maybe to simplify it, to boil it down, because I really love what you're saying about how the dogma of people's eating and how that becomes you project that out into the world like, oh, the only way to be healthy is to be a vegan. The only way to have a clear spiritual alignment is to be a vegan, or the only way to lose weight is to go keto, or whatever it might be.
Right.
I'm very aware of that. I've lost 90 pounds since my playing days. And that's been...
It's a lot of weight.
It is a lot of weight.
Imagine this guy 100 pounds heavier.
I actually, when I was doing some of that, little bit of research on you guys, because, I've only met Eben one time and doing a little research on you two, Nate. I looked at your Wikipedia photo.
Yeah.
Your headshot.
Yeah.
Your neck is like the size of my waist, dude.
I know.
And I don't know if you're going to put a picture of me. My waist is not small.
He was like the Kool-Aid man the way he'd walk into the room.
Just blow through the doorway.
Yeah. Total transformation. Physically, mentally, spiritually.
I love that.
We're just following his lead.
Thanks, man. Shit, I feel so humbled to hear that. But, I'm very aware now of when I talk to people about how they eat or, what I eat. Yes, I've had a lot of ketogenic-based eating that's helped me get here. I would say now I'm very much more paleo. Like, I'll allow myself to have sweet potatoes. I'll have some quinoa, but it's very a feel-based thing for me. What I eat, I pay attention to how it makes me feel. Does it slow me down? Does it make me foggy? Does the next day, am I feeling depressed or down?
And without being clean and getting to that point, it's very hard to feel that.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And without being mindful
Yeah.
about what you're putting in your mouth and how it affects you,
Yeah.
it's very, very hard to, when people are just mindlessly eating
Yeah.
or eat fast
Yeah.
or choose the wrong things.
So the speed at which you actually eat, like, has a big effect on how
well, you do a lot of your digestion in your mouth.
Right.
Getting back to boiling this thing down, what are there foods that you're like, no fucking way, everyone should stay away from those?
Gluten.
Okay.
It's drugs, man.
Yeah.
Especially, it's drugs.
Interesting.
So yeah, wow.
And
Because I actually read some stuff recently that said, hey, gluten's not as bad as
right.
they say
There's
it is.
a lot of research.
says the PR company that
Yeah.
grows the fucking wheat, probably.
Right.
So this is political?
Food is definitely fucking political
Yeah,
Yeah.
in our world.
for sure.
Well, it's like the that old research study that came out however many decades ago that said fat and cholesterol, the cause of heart disease, was all paid for by the sugar industry
Right.
to get everybody off of sugar's ass. Yet
Right.
now we know sugar's like cocaine
Right.
and just rots our
Absolutely.
brains and our bodies.
Right.
And, when we get too much of it.
Sugar is my it's just my nemesis.
Yeah. Yeah, me
it's
too.
the one thing I just cannot shake.
And it's interesting, I have a 6-year-old daughter, and watching her change, she eats really healthy. We're really good. We don't do any processed foods in our house. But occasionally, we let her have some candy or whatever it might be, some sugar, and I watch the change.
Right.
This neurological shift happen in her, where then she becomes like almost uncontrollably like energized, and it's profound to see that happen. And I'm like, oh, well, that's the fucking red 40 that was in that little candy.
That's a neurotoxin.
Yeah.
It's just like
It's
MSG, man.
scary.
Those glutamates and red food dyes, they're legitimate neurotoxins. They're
Yeah.
banned. All red dyes are banned
Everywhere else.
in the EU.
Yeah.
Completely.
Yeah, it's
banned
crazy.
And we give them to our kids.
all the time.
So
All
what
the
is it? What is
time.
it? What are they in? Everything?
Everything. Go-gurts,
Gatorade.
drinks.
Yeah, Gatorade. We drank
We were
so much
sucking
fucking
down
Gatorade.
dude.
I got a mouthful of cavities because I was drinking Gatorade my whole football career thinking this is healthy for me.
Right.
And I go to the dentist, he's like, are you drinking soda? I'm like, no. Gatorade, man.
Yeah.
You
Does the
gotta
body
stay
good.
hydrated.
Oh, that's milk. But the thirst quencher, they had it everywhere in our facility. Everywhere.
I'm sure.
And I'm sure you're encountering this with the athletes that you work with, that athletes prior to working with you ate really, really bad.
So terrible.
We used
There's
to
one
eat
guy in
little
particular who he's built like a refrigerator,
And he eats like one.
and he eats like one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just so he ate the craziest diet. The craziest diet. I'm talking like at a sitting like 6 or 7 hot dogs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God, yeah.
We used to eat so much fast
Chips,
food.
Yeah.
Doritos,
So
because
much.
when they're on
Yeah.
the road too, or
yeah.
like when they only eat at the stadium. It's just like sometimes it's good, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah. Well, before we had a guy on here a few weeks ago, Keith Mitchell, another former NFL guy. And we were reminiscing on how the night before games, it's like fried chicken, ice cream, fucking God knows what else, that we could get in, cookies.
He said every morning on Saturday when they would come to the facility before
Oh,
they
a
travel,
dozen donuts.
he would eat a dozen glazed donuts and a quart of whole milk. The day before the football
Day
game.
before.
And then he'd go
I
out
did
there
it
and play.
too. I mean, I maybe didn't have a dozen, but I'd have like 3 or 4 because that was tradition. Bring a huge box of donuts into the training room.
Yep.
Right.
And they'd be like, Eb, you get your donuts yet? And I was like, fuck yeah, I did. Because it was like an addiction.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
Every Friday was
Because wheat is brain crack.
Yeah.
we had pizza and Popeyes day every Friday after practice.
What?
Every single Friday, pizza and Popeyes. And on Thursday after practice, in our position meeting rooms, the rookie would have to get us food, and the rookie would get us Burger King or Chick-fil-A or whatever. So Thursday we're eating fast food. Friday we're eating fast food. Saturday morning we're eating donuts. Saturday night we're eating ice cream and chicken wings. And Sunday we're playing a game.
And you're
Playing
like,
ball,
you're like,
baby.
Why do I feel
man,
like shit?
Man, my joints hurt.
Yeah, why do I feel so terrible? Let me pop some more pills.
We were just so delusional, man, and we were riding in this perpetual state of fight or flight.
This storm.
Right.
And so we were always geeked up. And so it almost felt like, I don't know.
So you really, just to get us back on track.
Yeah, please.
Just to get us back on track. I think it's really profound. What was the school called? The culinary school you went to?
The Natural Gourmet Institute for Food and Health.
Yeah, I think that's amazing that you went
Big
there.
ups to NGI.
Yeah,
and
NGI.
And all Natural Gourmet alumni, for sure.
But you were really drawn to that because of your upbringing, your spiritual background.
I was.
Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay, well, my mom was raised by Irish Catholic New Jerseyans. She is the second oldest of 7 kids. And I'm talking traditional Irish Catholic.
Irish Catholic.
And she left right after high school and went down to Key West, Florida with her friend at the time and went to court stenography school.
What's court stenography?
Transcribing everything that's being said in a courtroom.
So it's like
real time.
It's basically a shorthand.
Court stenography.
Stenography.
Yes.
So it's basically a little shorthand typewriter.
Yes.
They used to do it shorthand, like
hand.
Yeah. Hand. So she went down there, met a bunch of people, started meditating, and had me. And we moved back up to New Jersey. And, you know, the time my mom spent in Key West really, I think, directly, obviously influenced her life, but it also influenced mine. Growing up, there was no red food dye in the house. I wasn't vaccinated.
What do you mean no red food?
No
tomatoes,
food
none
dye.
of the red,
no red food dye.
40, the food dyes.
No sugary cereals.
Right.
Everything was whole grains, fresh fruit. I mean, as fresh as it gets. I mean, she was
That's cutting edge for that time.
Really diligent about
this is the
it
70s?
being health food. I was born in 1981.
Okay.
During a hurricane in Key West, Florida.
Wow, there you go.
My dad claims my biological father claims that I was also conceived during a hurricane. That I cannot corroborate. I don't know.
Well, your energy is definitely a hurricane, Melissa,
All right,
in a positive way.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
So then, you know, growing up in New Jersey, if I always had, you know, ADD and ADHD as a child, which is why my mom kept the diet so clean or tried. I was really defiant. And meditation, by the time I was in high school, I tried really hard for it to be a part of my daily life. And then by the time I was in my 20s, it was part of my daily life.
Wow.
And now in my 30s, it has to be a part of my daily life.
Yeah.
Or I can feel immediately the places and certain things where I'm out of alignment or, you know, and I'm not going to say that I religiously meditate an hour a day.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
I wish I did.
Yeah.
But it's a very large part of my life. Staying mindful, staying present. That's a huge part of
who you are.
Of who I am, of how I can get in touch with the things that really matter. The things that I'm, in order to move forward and to have, it helps my brain clear and it's not just cobwebs. I can hone in on just a few things. And
because of the meditation.
Right.
And prior to you discovering that you could do that, was there medication involved that you tried to use to get there?
Yeah, I think we briefly tried medication around like 6th or 7th grade.
Like Adderall or something.
Something like that. But I think I took it one time and then never took it again. My mom was super, but she did take me to around 6th or 7th grade when I was I was a very good student till about 6th grade. And then I started smoking weed and fucking off. And smoking weed isn't good for a growing brain.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. Maybe once it's fully federally like taken off Schedule 1, we can do some kind of studies about that.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the weed; it was just the fucking off, basically.
Yeah.
Weed leads you to hanging out with certain people who might.
But I just back in the 90s, it did.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
but-
Like, so they,
right.
different kind of trouble will come up when you're hanging out with people.
And they were older, and I
Right.
never wanted to go to school. Yeah. And I stopped cheerleading, and it was a point where there was a path that diverged in the wood, and I chose the other path, for a while.
Yeah.
And
And it made all the difference.
it really did, because it kind of came all back
yeah.
around, and
For sure.
I am who I am because of all of every choice I made prior to this moment.
I'm a big
Absolutely.
proponent of the virtues of mischief. I really am, because
You have a very mischievous spirit.
Yeah. He's the jester.
Not malevolent at all or
No.
anything. It's just like a little twinkle. Yeah, dude.
I
Yeah.
can't help it. I was actually apologizing to Evan earlier if I step on his toes a little too much when he's speaking honestly about things that matter to him, and I'd make some little joke.
And you're like, you hate
He'll
wiping up
come in.
poop?
yeah.
Yeah.
You mean
put
like
the
comments like
catheter
that?
in the old guy's dick.
I said
dick
wiener.
hole?
I said wiener. Okay, you
Yeah,
said dick hole.
That's Nate, though. That's his. I was saying he was apologizing, and I was like, that's the beauty of our dichotomy, and our personalities. So anyway, yeah.
I love that.
No, the virtues of mischief, and I think that's a really important thing. And I think, to your point, for young minds, it's important for young minds to really experience life sober and aware and allow their brains to develop in that.
Right.
In that state, rather than, every kid is going to, I smoked weed. I started smoking weed occasionally. It wasn't very often, but at 15, I think that was the first time I tried it. And, I turned out okay.
Right.
But I totally hear what you're saying. I'm not sure that it's the best thing for young minds to be experimenting with, especially with no structure around it.
Right. And without having the studies to corroborate whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
Just wait till you're an adult, guys.
And now the
18
weed
at
is
least.
so powerful too.
So
The
powerful.
Like when
Okay,
we,
so
when
I
we
in
started
high
smoking,
school, right? I just told somebody this story on the radio yesterday. It used to be in my boyfriend's car, this old Subaru wagon, this whole shitbox, driving around Toms River, New Jersey, with a High Times magazine or a fucking Frisbee with dirt weed, rolling down the window, picking
Right.
the seeds out,
right?
Yeah.
cracking a blunt, dumping it out on the road, and like smoking a blunt in like the neighborhoods adjacent to where I grew up.
Right.
Which had like 10% THC in it.
And you could smoke a whole blunt to your face and you'd be high. But I would never do that now.
No.
You'd be in outer space.
Sometimes now you
Evan
take.
knows I don't even like the little football desserts that I
Yeah.
made on the show on
Yeah.
Bon Appetit were 2 milligrams. I ate 2 of those and I had to push my flight back a few hours.
Oh, wow.
Eating it is just not the right vehicle for me.
Same with
Yeah.
me.
I'm an old lady. I want to roll a little spliff,
Yeah.
chief it on my porch, put it out when I'm going to get a glass of water or some tea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But back around to, so my mom, once I started fucking off in school, we tried medication, and then I think that lasted for maybe a week. I mean, not even. I didn't like the way it made me feel. I said I didn't want to take it anymore. So she took me to this place called Princeton Biomedical Research, where they do full blood panels, your body analysis, all this stuff, and give you specific vitamins and all types of other stuff to help with whatever your deficiencies are, which is like what's causing potentially the rest of the stuff. So fast forward, this biomedical research, I don't think it even exists anymore in Princeton, New Jersey. I'm sure there's things like it still. But fast forward now, I guess I was about 11 when that happened. So fast forward 26 years. I am now fully fucking obsessed with the idea of the gut-brain axis.
Yes.
Blowing my mind. Everything I read about it, this is stuff I've been telling people, clients, people that would come into the restaurant, stuff they taught in my school. My mom gave me probiotics. I mean, I probably only took antibiotics growing up. I could probably count on one hand.
Wow. Yeah.
So probiotics are good.
Let's dive into that.
So
the gut-brain axis.
So I've been telling people for years, they've been saying for decades that, you know, up to 90% of your immune system lies within the microflora in your gut.
Yeah.
So now there are studies coming out that there is an axis between your gut health, your inner ecology, the health and well-being of your digestive system, and the chemicals in your brain.
Yeah.
So now they're isolating, just like with cannabis, they're starting to isolate these compounds or these bacteria or pathogens that are causing or helping to create better inner biome.
Yeah.
And
making for more mentally healthy individuals.
Yes. And those studies are blowing my mind.
It's amazing.
Blowing my mind. And it's to anyone who believes that what you put in your mouth is directly affecting your health, like I do. That's it.
Yeah.
That is it.
Yeah. That's revolutionary science.
So amazing. And I'm so glad that I don't know if we can look up what that book is. It's called The Gut-Brain Axis. I don't know the author's name. But that book blew my mind.
Will you pop that up, Jed?
Maybe talk a little bit about what foods can stimulate that in maybe professional athletes. But you're talking about foods that harm and foods that heal.
Right.
Well, what are those foods that heal and that stimulate a good gut health?
Well, to begin, you should cut out wheat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And cut out sugar, because those pathogens that live within your gut that are pathogenic and disease-causing bacteria feed off of sugar. And they cause all types of stuff. Crazy neurological problems. And so in order to cut that, first you have to cut out the things that are creating inflammation, either in the gut or throughout your body systemically. The first thing I would do is get off gluten and grains entirely and sugar. You can slowly start to incorporate fruit like fructose back into your diet pretty soon after. And then I would start eating fermented foods with every meal. I'm talking cultured coconut cream, any cultured raw dairy.
Yogurt.
Kimchi, kombucha. And kombucha is not for everyone. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
Some people are not ready for that specific type of flora, and it can weigh you down.
Just makes you feel heavy and...
It just isn't compatible with some body types.
How long should somebody cut out gluten and sugar for before they start adding some of these foods back in?
You can start adding,
So say I was somebody who ate just tons of gluten and sugar and I wanted to start cleaning it up, and I cut those things out, and I cut out fruit because that's high in sugar. how long do I need to do that before I can start adding stuff back in? Is there
It depends on the body. It depends on the
Okay.
person. Obviously, it depends on the ailment.
Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks?
I hesitate to say a time frame because
Okay.
everyone is just so vastly different. But within 2 weeks, if you are having ailments and you give up all grains and sugar, within 2 weeks, you will definitely feel a shift.
Feel
You may
different.
not feel better,
Right.
but if you're listening to your body, there will be healing going on for sure. If someone has really serious medical issues, I would say at least 6 months. So, I mean, and sometimes you can heal your gut enough. Also, another book that we read while I was in school. So this is now going back to 2000. The Body Ecology Diet by Donna Gates. This is the stuff she was talking about in the 90s
Wow.
that is now coming full circle back into my life, where I'm seeing it change people's lives. And I'm talking about neurological stuff. This isn't completely weaning themselves off of antidepressants, anti-anxiety medication. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
What are the grains? Let's talk about, for someone who doesn't really know exactly what grains to stay away from. Rice,
Rice.
quinoa.
Quinoa is most people who can't do grains can do quinoa. But I recommend getting off all grains.
What does that include? That group?
Quinoa, millet, amaranth, wheat, spelt, and there's a host of other ones.
Yeah,
But
okay.
those are like the mains that are the wheat analogs.
Yeah.
Is it
Millet.
because they stimulate a kind of yeast overgrowth in the belly?
Yes, it does. But it also creates in some people's bodies, particularly with what's going on with wheat and being genetically modified right now. And we don't know the science behind how that's affecting our bodies.
Right.
So they're growing this wheat, augmenting the genetically engineering this wheat to be less susceptible to rot, less susceptible to different pests. I'm sure quicker growing.
Yeah.
This is all about money, so I'm trying to think of like
Yeah. More resilient.
more resilient in all types of ways, in a bevy of ways. Who knows? While you're in there twisting around the genetics of something that's supposed to be not fucked with in that way, and then putting it in the food supply, we have no idea what that means for 5 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. And so anyway, back.
I want to ask a quick question about that. So how, as pertains to cannabis and hybrid cannabis and genetic cannabis, because a lot of these are not grown from seeds, how does that affect the cooking? If you're going to put cannabis into food, but the cannabis may be genetically modified.
Well,
Do
any
you have any
cannabis
concerns about
I've ever consumed or had clients, let me rephrase that. Any cannabis that I've ever used, I knew what the source was, which I think is another, if we're talking about foods in general, that's a great way to ensure that you're eating good stuff,
Yeah,
is the source.
cool.
But going back to wheat and gluten, I'm not saying I don't eat wheat and gluten. I'm addicted, man. It's a thing. And but when certain body types can't be eating wheat due to the fact that, for instance, people with celiac, right?
Yeah.
That's like, it affects them in their gut.
Yeah.
Causes leaky gut, causes all types of inflammation, digestively speaking, colitis, Crohn's disease, all types of stuff. And that's caused by wheat being looked at in your body as a pathogen. Like gluten in your body, that protein is being looked at as a pathogen, and your body is fighting it off. And with that like low level red flag going on all the time, your body's like, no, all the time. Not good.
Yeah.
Because then that everybody knows, right? Especially you two, that low levels of inflammation for a long duration cause a ton of problems.
Yeah.
But there's studies coming out now that celiac is now not just in the gut. That celiac can, what's the word I'm looking for?
Spread? Or
No.
radiate?
No, like
Effect.
that celiac can also be affecting the brain and manifest itself in a variety of other ways, i.e. neurological problems, arthritis, all types of stuff. So eliminating wheat, I like to just take that completely out of the picture.
Yeah.
So I can see and feel their, for lack of a better term, their energy.
Yeah.
Like, and feel that pure, once that stuff's taken out, that is like the cause of 90% of people's ailments.
Yeah.
I can like get a better understanding of their baseline without some of that other inflammation.
It makes sense. I mean, it totally makes sense. So I don't eat bread, but if you guys eat wheat, let's cut it out, guys. Let's start there. You know?
Cut out the wheat and the sugar.
So before we wrap up, Melissa, what other things do our listeners need to know about you?
Well, we wanted to talk for a minute about, obviously mindfulness. This is Mindful Warrior podcast.
Well, your approach to food is incredibly mindful, and I think we really appreciate that.
And in order to do that, I obviously meditate all the time. I have been going to a float spa.
Oh, wow. I need
Tons
to try
of
that.
floats. You haven't floated
I haven't
yet?
done it yet.
There's one right around the corner from my place
I know.
on Washington.
I know, man. Maybe we should go do that and then
It's amazing.
Pot
it.
Pot it.
You should. You really should. So there is, if you guys are ever on the East Coast, you should interview this guy. This guy, Scott DiLorenzo.
Okay.
In my town, in
Yeah.
Brick, New Jersey, like right the next town over, there's like a franchise called True Rest.
Amazing.
The cleanest float spas I've ever been in, and I've floated all over the place. Floating changed my life. I'm not even exaggerating for 1 second. I can't believe you have not floated.
I know, I haven't. I float in other ways, but
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk to you about that.
yeah. No, I definitely, that's on my list.
Right.
And
How can our listeners connect with you via social media or anything, any kind of website you have, any kind of work you're doing?
melissadelia.com.
Got it.
okay.
I also, my Instagram is Chef Melissa Delia, Delia. What else? That's it, I think.
Well, keep an eye out for the Bon Appetit cookbook.
Yes, the Bon Appetit cookbook is available for pre-order now through Munchies.
Awesome.
There's a click-through on their Instagram and on the Motherboard Vice website.
Nice.
And the official launch date is, I think, October 2nd.
Okay, cool. One more thing. Yeah,
what's your podcast?
You're the host of
I am the host of a podcast called Food Pussy Weed.
Food Pussy Weed.
Love it.
We
So it's
love
about
that.
cats.
It is.
Yeah,
Cool.
Yep. The birds and the bees.
Nice.
love it. Well, thank you so much, Melissa.
Thanks, guys.
This is
do a
about
little-
the time in the broadcast where
It is that time.
we wrap it up with a little song.
Little
Feel
song.
free to sing along. Right.
There you go.
Said everybody did a really good job on the pod. Said everybody did a really good job on the pod. On the pod, on the pod. Said everybody did a really good job on the pod. Oh yeah, everybody did a really good job on the pod. On the pod. Eben,
Yo,
you did a really good job on the pod.
thank you, my brother.
No problem,
You guys
man.
did a really good job on the pod.
I said, Nathan
Yeah.
did a really good job on the pod.
Thank you. Melissa, you did a really good job
Really good
Thanks,
job.
guys.
pod.
Really good job.
And of course, Jed, you did a really good job on the pod. Said everybody did a really good job on the everybody did.
Hey guys,
a really
don't
good
forget to
job
subscribe on
everybody
iTunes,
did
Spotify,
a really
Stitcher,
good
TuneIn,
job on
iHeartRadio.
everybody,
Wherever you find your podcasts, check us out. We've got mindfulwarriorpodcast.com. You can find all the latest episodes. You can get Nate's books. Clicks you right through to Amazon. Got Slow Getting Up and Fantasy Man, 2 incredible reads. We've got our organization, Athletes for Care, at athletesforcare.org. Social media platforms, Instagram at Mindful Warrior Podcast, Facebook at Mindful Warrior Podcast, Twitter at Mindful Pod. Hit us up. Send us a review. Send us a note. We love hearing from you guys. Stay mindful out there. Until next time. Peace.